NFL.com actually put this out. So this is from the league itself. They got a little IG slideshow going on.
Yeah.
Of 10 veteran free agents, many of whom have accomplished big things in their careers, that are still sitting out there on the marketplace.
And this is where the rubber meets the road sometimes with, as a fan, I saw every single one of these names, and there was a little spike in my endorphins of like, oh yeah, because they're all names that you recognize, and they've all done well. Most of them have done great things in the NFL. Some of them have done like really good things in the NFL. But it's hard to say no. There's a part of me, Sean, that when my knee-jerk reaction is, yeah, Nick, if you really want to win it, you should sign all these guys. All 10 of these guys should be on the roster right now. Come on, man. What are we even doing here?
Yeah. And then you realize it's like stars of the 80s where like, oh, yeah, some of them still look pretty good. Like Susanna Hoff still has her fastball at age 62. Meanwhile, I'm not going to name. I'll let the text page do it. But others not quite as fast a fastball as they had in, trading places or something like that.
Some of these guys have gone full Nick Nolte. They
Nick Nolte. Not who I was thinking of.
Was Nick Nolte ever? I bet Nick Nolte was pretty appealing to some women.
Oh yeah, dude, yeah.
Like not like the conventional like teen idol or anything, obviously, but he had like a ruggedness about him.
Yeah, especially when he played parts that brought that out, like 48 hours.
Dangerous side to him. Yeah,
he played that cop.
And then he just got actually dangerous.
Right. He withered it like an old man does. All right, so let's go through these names. Let's rapid fire these. Let's go shopping. Justin says, should Nick Caserio be calling these guys just to kick tires and maybe figure some things out? Justin Simmons is one that I think Texan fans, the 5 that are in their cars right now on Memorial Day, are like, hell yeah, Justin Simmons. What say you?
I would say Justin Simmons, you came out strong out of the gate with this one, Sean. He is the one that, yes, I think it makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways for you to sign Justin Simmons. This secondary can get as much veteran leadership as it can get, and I think Jimmy Ward provides a lot of that, but man, he's just been injured a lot in the last couple of years. So you start to look at the uncertainty with Jalen Petrie and exactly what he is and what he could become as a safety, and you drafted a rookie in Caden Bullock that, like Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans and Bullock himself, will be the first to tell you that he needs to put on some size. So I don't know how much they expect him to be a full-time starter. I think they'll use him a lot, but I don't think they depend on him to be a full-time starter immediately. That it starts to feel kind of precarious there. I would love for Justin Simmons to sign with the Texans. I would not be surprised if maybe there have been some preliminary discussions and Justin Simmons is just sitting out there as a guy that's in his 30s, has still been productive, didn't have his best year last year, but it's probably maybe a little bit of sticker shock for him in terms of the offers not being quite what he had hoped for. And maybe he would be the guy on this list that I'm least surprised if the Texans actually sign him to a reasonable deal sometime during training camp.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. I like that. That's a good way to put it. Least surprised if they actually got into business with Justin Simmons. He was one of mine too. Ben, you can give me a ding on that one. I agree with you. There's 5 of these guys that I would give phone calls to. Next one. Stephon Gilmore, someone who Nick Caserio has familiarity with from his seasons up in New England, where Stephon Gilmore was a Defensive Player of the Year as a New England Patriot at one time.
Right, yes, exactly. And, Stephon Gilmore was a guy that they brought in New England. He's got the length. He's really good in man coverage, okay? I don't have to overcomplicate why they signed him.
Right.
But he's gone through these curious stretches in his career where it's like an on-again, off-again at times, where it feels like, oh, maybe he's fallen off. Then he comes back next year and he's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And I think he's also at that stage in his career where he's A-OK signing one-year deals. You look at his last 3 years, Carolina in 2021, Indianapolis in 2022, Dallas in 2023. And I think he's played well in all of those stops. He's played the last 2 years, he's played 1,000 snaps in each of those seasons.
Yeah.
I would say to bring another guy on this list into it, Xavier Howard in Miami.
Both of them.
Those are the 2 big cornerback names out there right now. I would take Stephon Gilmore all day, every day over Xavier Howard. He's just been way better than Xavier Howard has been these last couple of years.
Would you be, if you were Nick, would you be in touch with both of these guys, though? Like, is Xavier Howard worth having on the radar?
I think I'm trying to keep the relationship warm and let them know that there's interest. Xavier Howard really, with Xavier Howard, maybe he didn't fit into Vic Fangio's scheme as well, but in terms of coming in and at least being a solid and steady corner in comparison to the guys you have on the roster right now, where Lassiter, we're not even sure that he's going to be an outside corner. That's ultimately. Right. Yeah, I would like both those guys, but I would prefer Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah. Xavier Howard is basically campaigning to come here. He's from here.
Yeah.
He wants to be a all right, I had yes on both of those two. Ding for Gilmore, ding for Howard. Thank you. Calais Campbell, this is somebody we've talked about before. Calais Campbell's on the list.
To Calais Campbell, I would pass, and reluctantly so, because I love Calais Campbell, and he's continued to play well into his late 30s now. But he is not going to be a guy that I think has an eagerness to be playing down inside on rundowns. So I think you've got enough edge guys right now. It's the defensive tackle position. When Calais Campbell played defensive tackle last year, it was like the games that I went back and sought out, it was like on 3rd and 20.
Yeah.
It was like it was an extreme pass rush situation. Yeah. So I would say no to Calais Campbell.
I had Campbell on my list, but Seth says no on Calais Campbell. This will be quick. Michael Thomas, wide receiver, Saints.
No.
Give him another one, Ben. Another. Yeah.
He is what people errantly think Stephon Diggs is. He's a headache on the field, off the field, every which way but loose, and not a culture fit.
You want a number?
And not necessarily a production fit either over these last couple
How
years.
would we know? Like, he's not on the field, he's. In 2019 and 2018, Michael Thomas was a first-team All-Pro and one of the best receivers in football. From 2020 through 2023, after he got paid, by the way, he has started a total of 15 games. He hasn't even started a full season's worth of games since before the COVID year.
It's one of those deals where, because New Orleans has been marginalized these last few years and they don't get talked about a whole lot, I think you just know that there's something going on with Michael Thomas, but I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think I can blame Derek. I don't think I can blame Derek Carr for it. It's just he's not that guy anymore.
He's not
pissed off.
Yeah.
You should be. Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
Jamal Adams.
Look, if I want a safety who can't cover, I'll just start Lonnie Johnson this year.
We've got one of those already. Yeah.
If there's one thing that this team struggled with last year defensively, this is tricky because they play their ass off, but it was discipline a lot of the times, especially in play action. Coverage on the back end needs to improve. But Jamal Adams is not a guy that's going to help you in coverage.
So no on Jamal Adams. So it's interesting because everybody is giving the Seahawks all sort of flowers over the last 2 years on how they fleeced Denver in the Russell Wilson trade.
Yeah.
It's a good thing they did because they got fleeced in the Jamal Adams trade. They gave up.
That was one of the more curious, how much and how aggressively they went after him. They were hoping he was going to be Earl Thomas because he's got some of those same traits, except for the whole coverage thing.
Yeah, that's kind of a missing thing. Yeah. 2 firsts and a third for Jamal. And then they paid him. 2 firsts and a third for the right to pay Jamal Adams as the top safety in football. Seth, 34 games in 4 seasons he played. Mm-hmm. 34 games in 4 seasons.
You know what? And I apologize. Cam Chancellor would have been more the role they were looking at, but I guess the difference is that he didn't have an Earl Thomas behind him.
No.
Like the style of defense that they could play when they had Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor there is just that's not what you're getting with Jamal Adams and what you have with the Texans.
And they paid him like Earl Thomas. That was the other thing too. They paid him like that kind of safety. Hunter Renfrow.
Okay, so Hunter Renfrow is intriguing just because nobody knows quite what the hell is going on with Hunter Renfrow. If you look back on his career so far, he was really, really good 3 years ago. He had 106 receptions. In his entire career, he's never had another season where he had more than 56 receptions.
Yeah.
And last year, he was minimally used. And people thought maybe after Antonio Pierce took over that they'd use him more. I'm curious with Hunter Renfrow. He's a guy that can, he can kind of jigsaw his way to getting open, but I don't. So again, he's very improvisational in a lot of ways, and it's fun to watch when it works out. But I don't think he's necessarily the precise route runner
which they
that Bobby
want
Slowick
here.
wants.
Yeah. He can go play with Deshaun.
I don't need a guy that takes 4 seconds to get open, you know. I just
Oh. All right, so no on Hunter Renfrow. I was a no on Hunter Renfrow as well.
yeah.
Couple more here. 3 more. We'll do these quick. David Bakhtiari, Green Bay.
Bakhtiari, like when he was healthy, I would have said, "Oh my gosh, yes, sign him yesterday."
Yeah.
But it's been 3 years where he's missed the bulk of 3 seasons. Last year, everybody pay attention here, because there's a bad word used. Ben, get the dump button ready.
Yeah.
When he ended his season midway through last year, he had to get a surgery, and the hopes were that he would correct a cartilage issue. The cartilage. For a guy that's missed huge chunks of 3 seasons, and he's got some kind of that sounds a lot to me like career salving microfracture.
Yeah. Did you dump that, Ben, or did you let that go through?
I think we're allowed to say that.
It's a dirty word, cartilage. That's what it sounds like. He's bone on bone.
Yeah.
And it's a rough spot to be in. But for this Texans team that's had its share of issues with offensive line injuries, I apologize, David Bakhtiari.
Yep.
Has nothing to do with you as a person or as a player, except for the fact that I'm not sure that you'll ever play football again.
Buzz on David Bakhtiari. Last 2, Dalvin Cook. This is a quick one for me. Every time the Jets brought in Dalvin Cook in that game last year, it was like they were forfeiting a down.
Yeah.
He doesn't have it anymore.
Dalvin Cook had 3 straight seasons of 1,100 yards or more, and people were wondering why he was languishing out there on the free agency market. The Jets ended up signing him for a respectable deal, 1 year, $7 million, with a good chunk of that guaranteed. That's not like a bogus number. Against the Texans in the regular season last year, 7 carries for 13 yards.
Yeah.
1.6 yards per attempt in the regular season. Then he signed with the Ravens during the playoffs, and against the Texans, he had 8 carries for 22 yards.
Can't play.
He did have a catch for -5 yards.
Okay, but he did catch it, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in the Ravens game.
Good hands, yeah. All right, so no on him. Last one, and this is one I might make a phone call to if he's willing to take a low-level, low-paying deal.
Yeah.
Shaq Leonard, former Colt.
Former Darius Leonard.
Former
now
Darius
Shaq
right,
Leonard.
Right.
And no, because people remember when he was Darius Leonard, he was
a beast.
Scary.
He should go back to that name. Yeah.
He forced 22 fumbles in his first 4 seasons.
Wow.
He was like a turnover-creating machine. 8 of those were in 2021. But then he went through a slew of surgeries, injuries, and back issues. Yeah. And since then, he's forced 0 fumbles. He's just not the same guy. And I'm for what the Texans really want, like a hard hat wearing, blue collar dude. I think he is that in spirit, but not in playing ability anymore.
This sounds like a no to me, Ben.
Yeah.
Sounds like a no from Seth C. Payne. All right, so there you go. It sounds like secondary, big time secondary. Simmons, Howard, Gilmore, make the call. All right, Payne and Pendergast. Let's get to